International donors meeting in Brussels have vowed to assist Mali regain stability. The West African nation is seeking more than $2 billion in pledges towards its plans for infrastructure projects, rebuilding government and security institutions. The European Union has pledged more than €500 million. More than 100 international delegations, including 10 heads of state and government, are attending the meeting. The conference was organized by Malian President Dion-counda Traore, French President Francoise Hollande and European Commission President Jose Manuel Barosso.
This is about helping Malians to create a new Mali, to allow the entire country, north and south united, to forge their future prosperity.
Now, for more details on the Mali International Donor Conference, we're joined live by CCTV's Jack Barton, who's in Brussels. Jack, Mali hopes to secure adequate financial support from this donor conference. What more can you tell us about the meeting's progress?
Well, the European Commission says it's not going to give a tally until the final pledges are in. That should be within the hour, but what we're hearing is that things have gone very well. EU officials are indicating that if that figure of €2 billion that they're trying to raise today isn't met, it's not going to be that far off it. Now, as you mentioned before, the EU has already committed €520 billion. But we also know now that Britain has pledged roughly €150 million, and other countries, including the United States, the World Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, countries like Denmark, they have all given large pledges. So it sounds like things are going well. Now, the Mali's interim government says it needs about $5.5 billion altogether if it's to what it describes as restart the country. And it sounds like at least half of that money will be met today. Having said that, we're already hearing from aid and development groups that much more is, of course, going to be needed. Even the EU's pledge of €500 million is just for the next 2 years. Oxfam says at least 15 years of funding is going to be needed if Mali is really to be put back on a sustainable path to recovery.
Now, Jack, you've mentioned that the aim here is to restart the country. Have we heard any more detail on how exactly the money will be spent by Mali?
Well, Mali's interim officials came here today to spell out their vision of the future. We haven't heard what that is yet or how they see that money being spent. But we do know there's been a lot of debate today amongst the pledges about how they think the money ought to be spent. One of the most interesting debates perhaps revolves around the election. Now, the date was set for the election yesterday of July the 28th. That date was set after a lot of pressure from the international community to come up with a date. In fact, much of the funding was linked to officials in Mali presenting a date. Now that the date is there, though, there are concerns that perhaps it's too soon. Many officials, many delegates say, how can a credible election be held when half the country is still at war and hundreds of thousands of people are displaced, many of them outside the country? On top of that, there's also a debate about spending the rest of the money on, should it be on short-term security, fighting militants in the north, on long-term peacekeeping, or how much of the money should be devoted to infrastructure, long-term development like roads and education. So what we're going to hear today is the figures, the pledges. But these sorts of questions, these are going to be debated for some time to come.
All right, thank you very much. CCTV's Jack Barton, they're giving us the latest from that International Donor Conference.